Hey guys! Today I'm going to talk about this book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It's by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's a really good book. It's pretty thick. Oh, she thick. And it's kind of hefty too, like information-wise. It really takes brain power to read it because it's about quantum physics and stuff. But really, it's about how it's basically empowering humans to create their own reality, really bridging the gap between science and spirituality. So it's super interesting. It kind of talks about quantum physics and kind of how we are energetic beings in this quantum field, and our thoughts have a frequency, and simply put, it's about changing your mind so that you can change your life. It's you are the creator of your own reality is what it comes down to, and based on science and spirituality, they both. For those who aren't really familiar with the quantum field and quantum physics in general, I'm gonna kind of try to explain it, but I do encourage you to maybe you do your own research too, and that way you can get a better understanding of what I'm saying maybe. So basically Dr. Joe, I'm gonna call him Dr. Joe if that's okay. I don't know if that's okay with him, but I'm gonna do that. He's a cool guy. So Dr. Joe explains how we are part of this vast energetic field, right? And it contains all possible realities and responds to our thoughts and feelings. Your thoughts actually create your reality. If you don't like your present reality, then you're in luck because you can change it, and you're so much more powerful than you think you are. So I'm gonna kind of dive into that. So the classical Newtonian physics models suggest that all things are considered solid, right? So energy moves through objects and can change their state of matter. We've learned that in school. Based on this idea, later, Descartes and Newton actually created the mindset that if reality operates on principles, mechanistic principles, then humanity had little influence on the outcomes. So you always hear people say life is a box of chocolates, you never know what you're gonna get, that kind of thing. So it's we don't know what's gonna happen to us, it's just fate or whatever, right? However, quantum physics discovered there's an observer effect, and that's when it's basically realizing that the person observing or measuring an atom actually affects the behavior of the energy and matter. Do you remember learning about the atom and the nucleus and when you were in grade school? There's the atom, or the nucleus at the center of the atom, and you have the electrons that orbit around, and you learned all the different models, and then eventually you got to the electron cloud model. So that's where you have the nucleus in the center, and there's just a bunch of electrons in the cloud. Well, there's actually some flaws with that electron cloud model because quantum experiments actually demonstrated that electrons exist simultaneously in an infinite array of possibilities and in an invisible field of energy. So this means that a particle cannot manifest in reality until we observe it. Basically, a particle exists everywhere and nowhere at the same time, and it is everything and nothing at the same time. This is where quantum physics gets confusing. Now, I just gave you a small little glimpse of a little bit of quantum physics just so you can get it in your head for the rest of my conversation, but if you really do want to know more about it, I suggest researching it. It's really interesting. Okay, so everything is emitting frequencies, right? Frequencies of energy. And these frequencies all carry information, and that information gets sent out into the quantum field, okay? Think of it as an invisible intelligence, okay? Bear with me. Since everything emits frequency, this means that your thoughts and emotions also emit frequencies too, right? So when those get sent out into the quantum field, they have an effect. And this can relate to the law of attraction. So I'm sure you've heard of it. It's the idea that your thoughts actually create your reality. So positive thoughts create positive outcomes, negative thoughts create negative outcomes, and so on, right? A lot of people use the law of attraction to manifest what they want in their lives, but there's one thing missing with the law of attraction. The law of attraction only talks about your thoughts, and it's if your thoughts are positive or negative. You're missing the emotional part. You're missing the feelings. They're interconnected. That's where this book comes into play. I'm going to bring up an experiment that was talked about in here. The experiment was designed by a cellular biologist, and he had healers, people that are healers, hold test tubes filled with DNA. The purpose of this experiment was to observe the link between your emotions from your heart and your thoughts from your brain and how they interact, right? So with the 3 groups of people, the first one, they had the healers produce strong, elevated emotions and feelings that were all positive, like of love and appreciation and gratitude for 2 minutes, right? And as they did this and they held the test tube, after the 2 minutes, they realized nothing happened to the DNA. The second group, it did the same exact thing, but instead of having elevated emotions and feelings, they had those, and they had an intention with it, which is the key part. So an intention is a thought. It's something that comes from your brain. The intention they kept in their head was to either wind or unwind the DNA. So this second group was holding the test tubes, having those strong elevated emotions, just like the first one, but now they were thinking about unwinding or winding the DNA. And after those 2 minutes, they saw significant changes in the conformation of the DNA, which was so cool. It says they wound up or unwound as much as 25%. So, okay, there was like significant changes. Now the third group, they just held the intention as a thought of changing the DNA, but they didn't hold it in their heart, so they didn't have the emotions or feelings with it. So it was just in the head. And again, after the 2 minutes, observed nothing. So only when people held the heightened emotions and feelings and had the thought and intention with it, there was an effect on the DNA. So what's the point? Well, the point is that the quantum field doesn't simply respond to your thoughts, whatever your goals or aspirations and aims are, and the quantum field also simply doesn't respond to your emotions of what you feel and everything, right? The quantum field only responds when they're coherent, when the heart and the mind are coherent and they're on the same wavelength, if you want to say. So you can't just desire something, you have to be it, you have to embody it. Just like I talked about embodying love in my last video, it's kind of the same idea. So a lot of people use the law of attraction and they have the thought process right, but they're missing those feelings with it. So that's why Dr. Joe was saying that there's like a coherence between the heart and the heart and the brain. Let's apply this. The current way you view yourself and the current identity you have about yourself probably doesn't align with the reality you really want in the future, right? You have to be the future you right now. So that might sound confusing and maybe you're like, okay, like I want to be rich. I can't just be rich like that. Like it doesn't work like that, Brenna. And I'm like, I understand. It doesn't work quite like that, but it's not only about thinking about the future you, what it's gonna be like, but it's also about having those elevated emotions about how your future self is going to feel. So when you're rich, how are you gonna feel? So from there, once you have the thoughts and the emotions of your future self and they're in coherence, all you gotta do is act on it now. So the experiment was about thinking and feeling. Now you're just throwing in the actions as well. So you have to be the future you. Think, feel, and act like the future you. And yes, you still have to trust the process and it won't happen overnight, but I promise you the ideal version of you is attainable and it can become your true reality if you think, feel, and act as if you are that future person you want to be today, in this moment, and every day. Okay, let me give you an example. Let's say you think you're shy, maybe because you've been told that your whole life, and so you think you are, and that's why you act that way, right? So you think you're shy, you feel insignificant and insecure maybe, so that means you're acting as if you're a shy, insecure, and insignificant person. Like it shows in your actions, other people can see it, right? So in your head, you don't think you can make a change in this world or something. Let's say that. But if you want to make a change in the world, you can. All you have to do is start thinking that you're outgoing and lively. And then you have to start feeling like you're significant and you have an important role in this world, right? And that you are going to make a difference in this world. And then you have to start acting like it. You have to start acting. What do outgoing people do? What do confident people do? Do those things. Do those actions. If you thought you were shy, you probably wouldn't go and hang out with a large group of people. Go and hang out with that large group of people, even though that's not what you usually do. If you change your heart and your head about it, the next step is to just change your actions, okay? Once you start thinking, feeling, and acting like you are that outgoing person, that becomes your reality. You realize that like maybe your voice is changing, maybe the words you use are changing, or maybe the way you hold yourself is changing as a result of you thinking, feeling, and acting that way. Simply imagine the future version you want to be, and let's say like maybe 1 year from now, like where do you want to be 1 year from now? How do you want to feel? What do you want to be doing? Picture that person and be that today. Embody every aspect of your future as if it was right now. All you have to do is start. Just give it a try. Like you don't have to wait for people's approval. Like you don't need any permission by anybody. You don't need your parents to say, okay, yes, you can be that person. No, it's up to you. You control your reality and you create your reality. Now connecting the thoughts and the feelings to Dr. Joe Dispenza's words in here. He puts it a good way. He says, the thoughts we think send an electrical signal out into the field, like the quantum field, and the feelings we generate magnetically draw the events to us. And that's why both of them are so important, and you can't just have one. And another thing he says in here is, from a quantum standpoint, we have to create a different state of being as an observer. Remember how I talked about the observer effect? And generate a new electromagnetic signature. And your new electromagnetic signature is what you're thinking and feeling. Like that's what he means. And when we do, we will match a potential reality in the field that only exists as an electromagnetic potential. Once that match exists between who we are being, what we are broadcasting, and the electromagnetic potential in the field, we will be pulled toward that potential reality, or it will find us. So your thoughts and feelings have to be aligned to be able to create the reality you want. From there, all you have to do is trust, surrender, and let go of how it's going to unfold. All right, that's it for today, but I also do want to point out how important it is to give thanks for everything that hasn't even happened to you yet. Gratitude is an elevated emotion that you can send out into the quantum field. And if you think about it, the quantum field, there's no space or time that exists there. So when you're sending out those elevated emotions of gratitude, since no time and space exists, you're thanking the events before they even happen, which are almost like, you can think about it, it's almost like attracting those events to you even more. You might hear people say like, oh, there's a cause and then there's effect. That's what science says. But here, you're causing the effect. By sending out the gratitude, you are creating that. So, to wrap it up, stop waiting for something outside of you to change what's inside of you. It all starts from the inside. So when you change what's inside you, you're going to produce an effect on the outside of your reality. So it all starts from within. And to tie this about my video about love, just like I said about becoming love, it's about embodying love. You won't find love and be satisfied until you embody it first in yourself. Just like this, whatever you want, you have to find in you through your thoughts, emotions, and feelings, and actions even. And then it'll become your reality. Now, lastly, I just want to say that meditation is such a crucial part of this, about the idea I just said about thinking, feeling, and acting a certain way. I found it very helpful. If you think about it, the quantum field is multidimensional, and it's beyond space and beyond time, and there's no physical body to it or whatever. So to influence your reality by sending your signals into the quantum field, you have to become pure consciousness, because that's what the quantum field is, right? So letting go of all those things and just becoming pure awareness is so important. And you can do that in meditation. And I just thought I'd share that practice too. That way, maybe you'll try it out. Overall, when you change your mind and your heart and your actions, you change your life. And I'm here to support you through all of it. So start thinking, feeling, and acting like that person you want to be. And I'm going to be here cheering you on, okay? With my bun. I hope you guys have a great day. And also, again, this is the book. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza if you're interested in buying it. It's a very good book.